Good day. Welcome to episode 53, the Aaron Wayne podcast. Oh, yeah. You know, oftentimes I will talk through the intro music. This time I just wanted to have a sip of my coffee and feel it. Yeah, man. Well, I hope you guys are doing well out there. Before we get started, you know, I got an extra 4 YouTube subscribers from my last podcast. Oh my God. 4 of them. I'm looking at myself in the camera right now, and it's like, I look like I have a bald spot from this lighting. Oh my God. It's like, maybe that's a little bit better. Shouldn't have started the podcast like that, Rico. All right. Yeah, man. So if you're listening to this, I am thoroughly embarrassed by how many people follow my YouTube page. And I'm even more embarrassed that I'm saying that I want you to follow it. Why do I even want people to follow it? I don't know. I'm trying to start a movement. Dude, I've been obsessed with cults. I watched the Heaven's Gate documentary again a couple weeks ago with my wife. She hadn't seen it before. Heaven's Gate is the one with the sneakers, and they think that they're aliens going off into the next dimension behind Hale Bopp Comet. Or is it Hale Bopp? It was the one in the 90s. I remember seeing this comet. I remember learning about it in school, but that's probably a false memory. It might not even be a real memory. How about that? Yeah, man. So I watched that. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I got a yoga teacher training coming up in August. We are halfway through the current program. If you're interested in yoga teacher training, I just actually talked to somebody today about jumping in on it. I don't know. Check out my website, aaronwayneyoga.com. I'm not going to talk too much about the yoga training. It's springtime, baby. And you can tell if you're one of my 28 subscribers on YouTube because your boy's got the springtime threads on. Yeah, I wore my Chacos to work last Friday. Am I allowed to? I don't know. I don't think they're in the business of policing teachers' footwear, though. But, like, women wear sandals. Why can't I wear my Chacos? I was still wearing a button-down shirt. I don't know. That's what I was doing. So, yeah, that's cool, man. And went running this morning. Found out I have a gluten allergy. These are all the things going on in my life. Got a little exercise in this morning. Been waking up every day. I think this is the thing that happens when you get into your 30s. I'm 33. I'm like, I feel young, feel vibrant. Except for the fact that every morning I wake up, it's like someone like injected me in my sleep with some sort of endotoxin. I don't even know what an endotoxin is, but I know that it's a word and it doesn't sound good. And it feels like every morning, all of my joints are like throbbing. And then my lovely wife is like, she typically starts her days fairly chipper, but I don't. I am a grouch in the morning. So she'll be like, good morning. And I'm like, everything is terrible. My joints are all swollen. I got to roll my ankles around. I've been rolling my ankles around in bed like I'm in my 70s. That's something they have like in an AARP brochure. Like, hey, sign up for our AARP. I don't even know what the hell AARP is, except for the fact that the first 3 letters are my first name. AARP. I should have named this podcast AARP. But yeah, it's like a recommendation they would have in a AARP. AAA. Saw Biden speak today. Is that rude? He stuttered, and it made me think of him. I have a lot of compassion for individuals with speech impediment. But it was actually the reason it came up to me, like the reason I noticed, is this is the first time I actually saw him stutter. People say this guy's got a stutter, but I'm not getting political. It's not a serious podcast. Every podcast I do, I say, Aaron, don't get too serious. But, yeah, that's cool and stuff. So, gas prices are going to go up this summer. I'm just waiting for it. It hasn't happened yet. It actually went down at my local spot. I got these 2 fellas down the road from me. They own this. It's like this really interesting juxtaposition because these 2 guys, they immigrated from India, and, they have an accent. So, like, they're not from Virginia, but this gas station I go to is just full of like the countryest country white folk. And it's just like this interesting juxtaposition of those two. And then seeing, there's no narrative thread running through the first 5 minutes of this podcast. Just stick with me. It's been interesting to see these guys become more Americanized, and like their slang, like they're picking up American slang over the last couple of years. But we're moving out of this place. I'm gonna like say goodbye to my fellas. Like they're really nice guys. So I was talking to them the other day. One of the guys, I think they're brothers. Just because of the way they like talk trash to each other. And they do it in their native language, whatever it is. I mean, they speak perfect English, but when they're talking trash, you can tell in the tone of their voice that whatever is being said, it's what you would say to your little brother if you had to run a gas station with him. And I'm gonna have to say bye to them. But I was talking to them about gas prices, and they were like, yeah, like they might go up, but then they went down, and that's the end of the story. Gas prices might go up, but they could go down too. They could also stay the same. There's a lot of options here. Y'all gotta let me know what to do about my Chihuahua. He's pishing everywhere. Everywhere. So we're moving in April. What's today's date? March 24th. Dude, tomorrow, bro? March 25th, dude? My wife and I will have been together for 19 years. Go ahead and clap for me. Clap for her. Clap for the arrow of time going in the same direction every time. I was listening to this guy named Eric Weinstein. He probably wants to be called Weinstein because it rhymes with Einstein. And he's a mathematician, physicist, and he works for Teal Capital, which is it's like a money company thing. And he was talking about like different fractal nature of time and how time is linear because we experience that way. It is way above my head, and I was getting out of a hot bath because your boy takes hot baths. Epsom salts, hot baths, sprinkle of lavender oil, maybe a little tea tree oil, and I just soak. I'm just in there, and it's hot. You want to hear something embarrassing? I'll tell it to you. So the people that can see me, there's only 25 of you listening on YouTube, so whatever. There's more on the other things, but am I trying to... Do I have an ego attached to this podcast? I think I do. Back when I was recording it more frequently, because I just took a break off to recalibrate mentally and to get some stuff done, I used to check the numbers all the time. And then I was like, dude, you got to stop checking these numbers. Because like the numbers, I would look at them on proper podcasting forms. And I was like, okay, cool. It's nice. It's growing. Like, it's kind of cool. But then I would look at YouTube and I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Do people not want to see me? They don't want to see me. What the hell was I talking about? That should be the name of this episode. The hell am I talking about? Hot baths. Put a lot of salt in there. I actually sketched up a plan a couple years back. I was super into like Joe Rogan has a podcast. I don't know if you've heard it, but he does, and it's called the Joe Rogan Podcast Show. And he was talking about flotation tanks, and I was like, well, okay, how can I figure out how to do that? And I was like thinking about how to get a kiddie pool in my basement and to like I like sketched it up, and then I realized that you need like 2,000 pounds of Epsom salts. Who's carrying all that? I'm not carrying it. 2,000 pounds. And that's not as much as I put in my hot bath when I'm watching theoretical physicists talk about the non-linear possibilities of time. But I was playing it, and then Katie came in to brush her teeth to start getting ready for bed. And she's like, what are you listening to? And I said, I might ask you the same thing, little lady. Because she came in, she was listening to... Why is everybody... if you're in a partnership or a friendship, or if you have a roommate, do you ever notice that at home you're on... It's not as... Like, being on the phone is something we associate with looking at people scrolling, which is definitely, like, disengaging you. But when you live with someone, you notice the things that they're listening to. Because you can't... always be scrolling, but you can always be on your phone. That's a fact. And just the books she listens to. My wife reads more than anybody I've met in my entire life. I'm an English teacher. I studied literature in college, so I know people who read. Like, my friends read, and if they don't, I make fun of them. So if you're listening to this podcast, you don't read, pick up a book, dummy. But she reads more than anybody I know. But the books she's reading, like, some of them are just absolute garbage. And I only know that because I can hear them, because she has audiobooks. And so she comes in with this, like, really, like, inane, predictable detective narrative. And I'm listening to this mathematician talk about stuff that I do not understand. And it's like this spar between, like, easy to read, low pressure, like, relax your brain kind of fiction, and math that's so over your head that you're not even really listening to it, because you can only listen to one sentence at a time and then think about it, and by the time they've gotten to the next concept, you've already forgotten what you were trying to remember. But that's cool. That's what we were doing, and I was in the hot bath. But yeah, my dog keeps pissing everywhere, and it's because we're moving, and we're starting to, like, put boxes together. You know, fill a box full of books, leave it around tiny little Ganesh. He's gonna pee on it. We named our dog Ganesh, and it was like the first year I was practicing yoga, and I was like, oh, Ganesh, like, I learned the story, and we said it, so you pronounce it Ganesh. At least all the Indian people I've met, they say Ganesh, and, like, or Ganesha, depending on the region of India you're from. And we named our dog Ganesh because we're hillbillies from Virginia who had been practicing yoga all of 7 months, and we're like, we're naming our dog after a Hindu god because, you know, it's a good story. And my parents called him, they said he was a girl. They were like, she's, you know, running around, and I'm like, well, he's a boy, and he's a dapper little fella, because he is. And look at my Instagram. There's pictures of him up there. Aaron Wayne Yoga. And we just started calling him Nash, because nobody knows, like, in Virginia, nobody knows who Ganesh is, and we said it wrong anyway. Isn't that? It's so me, though. Like, that's so me to just be like, all right, I've done yoga for 72 hours. First of all, first week that I practiced yoga, I realized how challenging it was, and then I was like, I'm going to teach this. That's the ego that I have, man. And yeah, and then I learned just a little bit about Ganesh, and I was like, I'm naming my chihuahua Ganesh. I think Katie wanted to name him Dobby after Harry Potter, but I don't think she's read Harry Potter. I think she's just seen the movies. Kind of like my English students right now. My English students right now are doing book clubs where I have a selection of, like, I don't know, like 20 different novels, 5 or 7 copies of each. And I'm like, pick a book. I'll put you in a group. You guys read whatever the heck you want to. And the kids that chose The Hunger Games and The Fault in Our Stars, I'm like, I know what you're doing. You think this is my first year teaching? You think I've never met a 14-year-old and tried to get them to read a book? You're just gonna watch the movie. But is watching the movie better than reading Spark Notes? And if you're a middle school student or high school student listening to this podcast right now, Spark Notes is just a place where you get kosher muffin recipes. So don't even worry about looking it up. But I know what they're doing, and I don't think my wife's read Harry Potter. So she can't name our dog Dobby, and I don't even think it's Dobby. I think it's Dobby. But I read those books, and I wasn't a very good reader because I missed a lot of elementary school. I didn't miss a lot of elementary school. We just moved around. And I was just a wild kid, so I didn't listen. But, yeah, dude, I saw a kid sleeping in my class today, and I wanted to just, like, have you ever seen, do you follow drunk people doing things on Instagram? Great follow on Instagram. And every now and again, it's like once a week, they'll post a picture of some drunk frat boy trying to jump off of someone's roof onto a folding table, and every time they miss it. They're inebriated. It's a high ropes maneuver. Leave it to the professionals, kids. And that's what I wanted to do while the kid was sleeping. But then I realized, Aaron, you used to sleep in class all the time. That's probably how I got to college and didn't know what a conjunction was as an English major. See last episode, because there's an embarrassing story in the last episode. Did I even give this episode a number? I hope I said it was 53. It's supposed to be 53. Trying to do 52 this year, and I am not on track. I got to map that out. I'm going to teach yoga this evening. This is, there is absolutely no agenda to this podcast because I didn't take notes. I was listening to a podcast yesterday with the same dude, Eric Weinstein, who ended up, YouTube. The YouTube algorithm is so good, dude. It's so good. It shows me people I've never heard of in my entire life, and I'm like, okay, well, the subject seems interesting. Click. Next thing you know, I'm 3 hours deep, and I'm learning about geometric unity and how there has to be a theory after Einstein. What is a person like me needing to hear any of this? This doesn't relate to me. It's like people having all these strong opinions about foreign affairs. I'm not going to talk about Ukraine. It's like, this isn't meant for us. There's a Terence McKenna lecture where he says that information has been spilled accidentally by the greedy hands of the technological creators. And he's so poetic, Terence McKenna. Wild dude in some of his ideas. But that's like so totally true. You know, you see all these uprisings around the world over the last decade to 15 years, starting with the Arab Spring. It was like the first one that was the first like social media revolution, and that I would cite. Maybe someone tell me, let me know in the comments of the 22 people that follow me on YouTube. Can you comment on, if you can comment on podcast platforms, just comment yes. I don't know if you can. I don't think you can. But what was I talking about, dude? Yeah, this information, like, we're not supposed to have all of this information in our heads. That's why everybody's freaking out, man. I was reading Fahrenheit 451 with a couple of my kids today because the first, 30 pages of that book are almost impossible to understand if you don't know what you're looking for, or if you don't have someone to explain it to you, or if you're just a really competent reader. Because Kurt Vonnegut was just like a total... Or no, Ray Bradbury wrote that. Sorry, Kurt Vonnegut wrote another thing that my kids are reading. But Bradbury is just like such a American sci-fi writer in his style, and like the frenetic quality and the figurative language is like it's like dingy and whip-like. It's like this, like, it's just like a moistness to the figurative language, but then there's a sharpness to it at the same time. And so if you don't understand if you're not like a highly competent reader, what was that? Why did I bring this up? Oh yeah, in the culture of Fahrenheit 451, like, there's a lot of people that are living really miserable lives, and there's a great deal of self-harm. In fact, in the first section of it, there's a conversation about how this happens all the time. You know, we come here and we pump people's stomachs, and it's dark, and it's like, I wanted to talk to those kids that were reading the book about it, just to kind of check in with their emotional state reading it, but then also just to understand it. Like, if you don't have someone to explain it, you're not going to understand it. And what I think about is how I think people are going crazy because we have too much information. We're not supposed to have this much information. People don't even read books. And if you're one of the people that doesn't read a book, just pick up a damn book and start reading it. Because the information in there, I think books are important. Write that down. Books are important. People are going to stop reading books, man. They've already stopped reading books, but it's what a book does is a book is something that took a great deal of time to create. Like this podcast, I'm going to record this podcast for 30 minutes. I'm going to smash the memory cards into my hard drive and then upload it to the internet. That's not a thoughtful, long, digested analysis of a concept. It's just free thinking, talking, chatting, right? And that's what people are doing on the internet, and we're ingesting that as if it's legitimate information, and it's not. It's like, it's junk food. It's junk food concept. It's high level concepts, ultra processed down to junk food. Like it's like taking beet sugar. It's like, is beet sugar better for you? I'm not a nutritionist. Don't play one on the internet. But I'm an overconfident English/yoga teacher/podcaster, so I'm going to give you my opinion. Beet sugar's not any better for you than sugar. Sugar? So it's like you're taking this like nutritious, healthy vegetable and processing it down to just extract the fructose from it. It's like, that's not, you can't, it's the same thing as our diet of information. And so books take longer to not only create and need to be thoughtful because of that, but they take longer to digest. It's like there's a bit of fiber in there, man. It slows you down so that you can actually ingest the information and take it with you and like integrate it. Like, you can't sit down and read a 300-page book. I'm not the type of person who can sit down and read a 300-page book. It's like I'm reading this 15 pages at a time, taking a bite, and then coming back to it. And that's how we learn. That's how concepts come into play. So pick up a damn book, man. Just pick up a book. It doesn't matter what book it is, right? It could be a book that I've recommended on the podcast. You know who has a really good reading list is Ryan Holiday, the guy who wrote The Obstacle is the Way. That's a good book to start with. He also wrote Stillness is Key, Ego is the Enemy, which your boy needed to read. And just start there. Start with The Obstacle is the Way. It's very readable. It's like, I don't know, 120 pages. It's one of those books that you can fit in your back pocket, which every book should be able to fit in your back pocket. Dirty little secret that I learned from, I think, Steven Pinker. He was on a podcast being interviewed. The dirty little secret of publishing is that, excuse me, they can charge more for a bigger book, but it costs almost nothing more to make a bigger book. So like it's the startup cost. If you ever bought something from a manufacturer, it's like you could get, 5 t-shirts for $30, but you could get 50 t-shirts for $40. And it's because it's setting up the dye and the cast and all these different things. Like the inertia to start any sort of production on something is what the cost is. And so they can make a 400-page book full of a bunch of BS, or like maybe 20 or 40% BS, but they can charge you an extra 20 or 40% for that BS, but it only costs them like another, 3%. So they pocket all that. And I don't like it. It's exploitative. I want to be able to read a book in an afternoon, which goes counter to exactly everything I just said, which is books need to be digested and take time. Take time with a wounded hand, 'cause it likes to steal. Yeah. Take time with a wounded hand, 'cause it likes to heal. I think I've reversed that. Maybe I just sing on the podcast from here on out. Maybe not. I'm going to sip a coffee, see if I can't think of anything else to ramble on about. My friend Susie and Steve bought me this mug for Christmas. And I think Steve listens to the podcast. Shouts out to my boy. Delicious coffee. Yeah, man. What else I got going on? If you know how to get a Chihuahua to stop peeing on boxes, shoot me an email. Hit me up. Let me know. Do it on my YouTube page. Follow my freaking YouTube page. It'll be interesting to look back. I intend on carrying on the podcast. I honestly, dude. Honestly, bro. I think I'm going to keep doing everything I'm doing. There's so many people that live and do what they do, and they're like, I got to get out of this job, man. This thing's killing me. Or like, I see this with young people all the time. It's like, yeah, my parents want me to do gymnastics, but I'm so tired of doing it. It's stupid. It's the same thing every time. There's so many people, and there are people that are like, I'm in this job, but it pays well, but it's killing me. And it's like, I am so blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. I'm so blessed that I was built with ingenuity and willpower and good fortune and privilege to like do everything I do. I want to do everything I do. Is that true? I think that's true. I think that's true. I mean, I just am like wanting to add things, which like is going to be hard because Katie and I want to start a family, and like it's going to change. That'll definitely change things when we do. But I just want to do more stuff. I don't know if anybody told you this lately, but you're going to be dead one day. Speaking of which, Pfizer decided to release a bunch of documents, but they weren't going to. They unredact them for 75 years. Does that sound suspicious? Oh man, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. I don't know. That's not what this podcast is about. So yeah, just like in the fourth quarter, I threw everything for a fray. It's not even a real phrase. I can hear my chihuahua scampering around upstairs because I haven't cut his toenails in too long. I know I need to do it. Don't get after me. But he goes crazy when I do it. But I hear him scampering upstairs, which tells me that my wife is probably here. Right on time, guys. Listen, guys, I don't know what the hell this podcast was about, but you tuned in for it. You stayed with me, and I love you for it. So go follow my YouTube page and like, comment, and subscribe, and all that cheesy stuff that people on the internet say. But you know, the comments do make a huge difference. Also, shares apparently in the algorithms are really useful. And I think my music's gonna stop before I stop rambling. So maybe I'll cut that. I'll add some music because the music's still going. I can't hear it, but you can, because I cut it and then I pasted it at the end. That's how simple this stuff is. Why don't more people have podcasts? Because not everybody's an egomaniac like you, Rico. That's why. That's why. Okay. You know, I was looking at the data on my podcast. I thought I was ending this, but now I'm still talking. I was looking at the data on my podcast, and the longer episodes have more retention. Isn't that counterintuitive? I think it is counterintuitive, but then also I think when I'm scrolling through the internet, I don't even want to listen to an hour-long podcast. I want something that's like 3 hours long. I think Rogan really set the precedent there. Joe Rogan is a podcaster, and he has a website. It's probably like joerogan.com or something. It used to be joerogan.net. Dude, I've been listening to Rogan's podcast since like 2011, 2010, something like that. I remember I was cool. I've heard more Joe Rogan in my head than probably anyone. Does that make me crazy? Or does that make him crazy? Or does it make you crazy? I think we're all crazy. Slow down. Read a book. Let yourself digest some information. This is going to be too long for me to like add another cut of the music. I'm just going to start another one. Like I don't have the button. Let me click. I don't have the button. Oh my God. Hold on. Oh no, I selected too many things. Okay, hold on. Now it's in the thing. Because it'd be really cool if I could hear it when it plays. And it didn't go. God, this is the worst podcast ever. One of the podcasts I was listening to is this guy was like, when you came on last, I realized that I should be taking this seriously. I should be treating this as if it's a job. Guess what I don't do? I don't treat this like it's a job at all. All right, I'm not going to start the music. You're going to hear it right now. I'm going to plug it in there. Maybe I'll snap my fingers. That's a cue for me. Look at the audio. And now the video's cut out. Now the video's over. Damn it. Just kidding. I'm not mad. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it here. I got to teach some yoga and get some num-nums in my belly first. Hope you guys are doing well. Peace.